Hello children, how are you all? I hope you all are healthy and hearty, you all are fit and fine. My name is Tanya Sharma and I welcome you all to the Knowledge Planet powered by Physics Wallah in Ultimate Recap Succeed batch. Let us get started with the most important and very big chapter of history, and the first chapter of history, and the name of this chapter is the French Revolution. It is the chapter of history. Most of the students find it very difficult, but we will do a recap in such less minutes, you will be amazed. What all we are studying today in this particular chapter, we are going to understand French society during 18th century, the outbreak of the revolution. France abolishes monarchy and becomes a republic. Did women have a revolution? The abolition of slavery, revolution and everyday life. So all these points we are going to cover in very less minutes. We are going to start with a story. The story starts with a morning. This was the morning of 14 July 1789. The city of Paris was in state of alarm. What happened? Why the city was in the state of alarm? Well, let's see what happened. The atmosphere was of terror. Everywhere people were moving towards the palace and hustle bustle was going on in the entire city of France. What happened then? But why things were happening? Why all these things were happening? What was the main reason? So it was said that the rumor spread. It was said that why the people was in such hustle bustle terror, reason being that the rumor was spread, and the rumor was the king would soon order army to open fire upon the citizens. So what was the rumor? The rumor was that it spread like we can say like fire, and the rumor was that king soon will order army and the army will open fire upon all the citizens. Now listening to this rumor spread in entire city of France and with the people. When the city of France, the rumor spread and the people, again there was a lot of rush on roads. A lot of people were there on the roads. Again, let us see what happened. People thought that it is better to be killed by doing something rather than die like this. Any which ways, the king will definitely, because it was a rumor, it was spreading like fire, and people were they were using their brains at the same time, and they were they had this state of aggression in them, and they felt that any which ways the king will definitely kill us. Okay, so it's better, let's do something. Okay, instead of dying like this. So what they did, some 700 men and women gathered in front of the town hall and decided to form a people's militia. So what is people's militia here? People's militia means that a lot of people are coming together. They are forming their own military. They are not from the military background, but they are forming their own military, and they are coming together, and these were some 700 men and women. Now, the question was, if they are standing in front of, the 700 men and women are standing in front of the palace, how will they rebel? How will they rebel against the army? How will they fight against the army? So, the only question was the weapons. They need weapons to fight against the army, because the rumor was, what was the rumor? Do not forget, the rumor was the king has ordered the army to open fire upon the citizens. Now what happened? So the commander of the Basail was killed and the prisoners released though there were only 7 of them. So they entered the prison of Basail, and in the prison of Basail, what they did, they looted the prison, they looted the arms and armaments, because they needed something to rebel. They needed some arms and armaments to rebel. So, and happening in this situation, what happened, the commander of the Basail was killed and 7 of the prisoners were also released. Now, the following days experienced more rioting in Paris and in the countryside. What actually happened, we will understand, but all these were series of events going on the 14 July, and after 14 July 1789, things happened randomly, back to back things were happening, and a lot of exposure to a lot of riots happened. A lot of people were fighting, a lot of women were fighting, a lot of people fighting against the king in the countryside and in the entire Paris. Now, why were they rioting? Why were the protests and riots were going on? Because the prices of the bread rose up. Okay, now the bread they used to eat, the prices were increased and the common man was not able to sustain this particular life. Then their wages did not increase. It was stagnant, and apart from that, population also increased. So a lot of people were not happy with the king as well, because they were fighting, they were rebelling. They had this the palace, Bastille, they looted the Bastille. A lot of events were following. After that, the king of the France was guillotine. Guillotine is a type of a manual machinery whereby the head is chopped off from the body, and the body definitely, and the king definitely is dead. So here the king of the France, because a lot of things were happening back to back, people were not happy, the king of the France was guillotined, whereby this story ends here. But now the question starts, this is the manual guillotine, whereby if you can see this is a machine whereby the head of the person is kept here and it is chopped off. So this is a guillotine, a type of manual machine. Now your head will be in such curiosity, what actually happened, how it started, why the king was guillotined, what was the what was actually the thing that king lacked, what actually this happened, what was the main reason why king was guillotined, why the people were not happy with the king. So the story starts now. This was a quick, we can say, a story which went on, and this entire event, all the entire events leads to the chain of events, and French Revolution is a part of events and a lot of events. So now we will go back to the past, because if you remember, we started the story with 14th July 1789. Right, but now we are going past. Why exactly things happened? Why exactly French Revolution is known as the only French Revolution? Was it a revolution of France? Why? And what was the society? What was the French society? We will go now slowly, one by one, events by events, what exactly happened in French Revolution. So we are going back to the 1774, whereby we'll understand French society during late 18th century. This was late 18th century. Let us see what happened. So there was a king, and the name of the king was Louis XVI. He belonged to a Bourbon family. Okay, the name of the king was Louis XVI. This was in 1774. He was married to a queen, and the queen was from Austria, and the name of the queen was Marie Antoinette. So this was the background story. Who was the prince who was guillotined, and who was the prince everyone was against? This was the prince, he was the leader. He was a king, and the name of the king was Louis XVI, belonged to Bourbon family, and he lived in a very beautiful palace, and the palace name was the Palace of Versailles. The Palace of Versailles was a very magnificent building, very beautiful building, not justified here in this picture, but yes, it is still very beautiful. It was very beautiful. So the maintenance of this particular, we can say, palace, and maintenance of the Palace of Versailles was a very big task. So when Louis XVI got his chair, got his king, got his entire kingdom, he was somewhat not happy with what he got. Reason being, let us see. Reason being, he got an empty treasury. Why he got an empty treasury? The reasons are here. First of all, if we see that the Palace of Versailles was a very magnificent building, and to maintain this Palace of Versailles was a very big task. So to maintain it, a lot of money and a lot of expenditure has to be used. So that is the reason of his empty treasury. He was a king, he got the kingdom, but not so in a very good manner, because the Palace of Versailles was very big and it was difficult to maintain. Second was, he got empty treasury, reason being because a lot of chain of events happened. Chain of events means a lot of wars again and again happened. So France held 13 American colonies to gain their independence from the common enemy, and the common enemy was Britain. So British actually was the time was, we can say area, we can say a proper European Britishers. They were people who wanted to conquer the entire world, So France held a lot of American countries, okay, so colonies, sorry, here we are specifying 13 American colonies so that they can get freedom. So because of helping them, France used a lot of its treasure. That is why when King Louis XVI came, he got an empty treasury because a lot of money was gone to help the people in France, or we can say American colonies. Apart from that, a lot of debt was there from past wars. A lot of debt were there. Okay, so again, war debts, maintenance of palace, cost to support American wars, debt more than 10 billion livre, and other expenditure. And other expenditure include the expenditure on the daily wage expenditure, on the schools, on the, we can say, on the colleges, and expenditure of the, we can say, administration, police, military. So these are other expenditure which particular country has to go through. So this was the background where Louis XVI actually got an empty treasury. Now he is a king. How will he deal with the problem? So he thought, because I got empty treasury, because I am not being able to keep up with the kingdom and everything, what should I do? So he increased the taxes. He thought, increasing the taxes, I will get some of the other money so that I can overcome all these things. So now king is Louis XVI. King was forced to increase taxes because some or the other way he has to come out of this empty treasury, right? So he was forced to increase taxes. So there were two types of taxes. Okay, so there were two types of taxes we'll come across, but how? He was forced to increase the taxes, but who will pay the tax? That was a concern. Okay, so he was forced to increase taxes, but the question comes here, who will pay the tax? Who will pay the tax? This was a very big question. Now, who will pay the tax? Hereby we have to understand the French society. Now, French society was divided into three estates. First estate, second estate, and the third estate. First estate included the clergy. Okay, clergy, church member, priest members. Second estate included the nobility, high rank people, feudal lords, kings and queens. Okay, and the third estate included common man, workers, lawyers, artisans, peasants, official, landless, labor, servants, etc. So now, because first estate and the second estate were the people, they were highly ranked, they were all secured to pay the taxes. Okay, so these people were known as privileged classes. These people were known as privileged classes, and they were not allowed to pay taxes. So no tax they had to pay. Alright, they'd have to pay no tax. Then who will pay the tax? The tax was entirely paid by the third estate. Yes, my dear students, all the taxes were paid by these people. Only these people will pay the tax. Okay, the common man. The first estate and the second estate were called as the privileged classes, whereby they were exempted to pay the tax. All the tax were paid by the third estate. We will see on once again. So these were first estate, second estate, third estate. Okay, first estate were clergy. See, you can write church here. These were church people, priest members. Nobility, you can write royal people, kings, queens, and you can add noblemen here, and you can add people who belong to land, those who are landlords, who have big lands. Then third estate, there are a lot of people. We have big businessmen, merchants, court official, lawyers, peasant artisans, small peasant, landless, labor servants. These all comprise in the third estate, and every tax has to be paid by the third estate. Now, what kind of tax was there? There were two kind of taxes. One was direct tax and one was indirect tax. Now, tithes and tithe were two types of taxes. So, taxes directly, okay, taxes directly were paid on food. For example, salt, for example, tobacco, okay, for example, salt and tobacco, these were the direct tax. And the other type of tax was tithe. Now what is tithe? So what farmers and peasants used to grow, okay, farmers and peasants used to grow, okay, whatever crop they are growing, they have to give 1/10 of the crop price to the church. So this was called the tithe or tithes. One is tithe and the other one is tithe. And who will pay both the taxes? Both the taxes who are ought to be paid by the third estate members. Third estate members. So this was the situation whereby everyone has to pay the taxes. Now apart from taxes, now definitely this was somewhat unjust. First estate and second estate were enjoying all the privileges, whereas the third estate people have to pay all the taxes. So this was the French society whereby French people were not so happy with this, especially the third estate people. They were not happy with this. Apart from this, the new problem arose, and the new problem was the population rise from 1715 to 1789. From 2.3 crores to 2.8 crores, the population rose. Now, as you all know, when the population will rise, the demand will also rise. Now, demand regarding the food, demand regarding the wages, so everything will rise. If the population, the people are increasing, so do their needs. Their needs and aspirations will also they will definitely require. Now, as you all know, when the population rose, the demand rose, the production did not rose. So this was again the third thing we are understanding here, subsistence crisis. First we understood the empty treasury. Second we understood the types of the society. Okay, we understood the French society. Third we understood the two types of taxes. Fourth is subsistence crisis. Now, whereby the population rose, the demand rose, but the production did not rise. Production did not rise. So here we'll write production did not rise. The production for this did not rise. So if the production did not rise, whatever material they had, whatever bread they had, the prices of the bread increase. The prices of the bread increase. When the prices of the bread increase, wages did not increase. So now the prices increased and wages are still there. In that case, plus a drought and hail came and destroyed the entire crop. So this was again a type of crisis which people felt, the third estate people felt, because they were not privileged. Apart from all these things, they had to pay taxes as well. So third estate people definitely did not have any choice. Okay, and they waited for a long time, and they waited. And meanwhile, the third estate people starting, because they were not so educated. So third estate people started having education and started having, because this was a situation going on, third estate waited for the right time, and meanwhile a lot of people got wealthier and a lot of people got influenced by people. Okay, philosophers. So this was the age where philosophers came, and third estate people actually were very sad. They were facing a lot of issues. So they were inspired by all these philosophers. So so this is one philosopher, John Locke. He said he wrote a book, and this book name was Refute Absolute Rights of Monarch. So they said that according to the philosophers, entire issue is coming because the monarch or the king or Louis XVI is not maintaining the problem very nicely. So he wrote in his book that we should refute. Refute means to refuse entire right which is given to monarch. We should reduce its power. Next was another person, and the person was Jean-Jacques Rousseau. This was another philosopher, and he wrote that social contract between people and the representative, which means that there should be a social contract. It's not like that, okay, I am the leader, I will think about me and my palace and everything, I'll not think about the people. No, he says that there should be a social contract between the people and between the leader, okay, and the representative. And there was similarly one other philosopher, Montesquieu, in his book called In the Spirit of Laws, he says that there should be not one king, there should be division of powers, and the division of powers should be there with the legislative who make the laws. Then second will be the executive of the people who implement the laws, and the third is judiciary, who actually who manages the court, whatever problems have will be sorted by the judiciary. So this was the philosophers. This was a time when a lot of people were gaining knowledge. Okay, this was a time when a lot of people were gaining knowledge. Meanwhile, as you all know, third estate people were actually not happy, and Louis XVI was looking at the entire problem. Louis XVI could not do anything for the people. So Louis XVI was looking at the situation, and he again wanted to increase taxes. Now this time, because earlier it was okay to increase taxes, this time Louis XVI did not want to increase taxes, and to increase taxes there is a meeting. Okay, every time when you are to be increase the taxes, you have to attend one meeting. Then only you have to discuss with the estate general meeting. That is known as estate general meeting. Okay, that is known as estate general. So this time when the subsistence crisis were coming and everything was not in hands, again Louis XVI thought, let me do a meeting and then we'll sort it out. We will impose more taxes so that everything will be sorted. But situation was very much worse, because third estate people are not happy with anything. Now what happened? So this time estate general meeting happened on 5th May 1789. So earlier this meeting happened in 1614, and this was the time when estate general meeting was to be happened on 5th May 1789. Okay, now the agenda was the agenda of the king was to increase the taxes on the third only for the third estate people. But this was, let's see what happened this time. Now what happened this time? Usually estate general meeting involves 3 estate people and their members. So we have first estate people here. Okay, first estate people, first estate, we have 300 people for the first estate. Okay, second estate people, we have second estate, we have again 300 members for this, and third estate people, as you all know, they are common man and there are a lot of people, so they have 600 members in this estate general meeting. So what is estate general? It is a meeting. Okay, it is a meeting whereby Louis XVI will come here, conduct the meeting, and whatever possible, these people, 300 members from first estate, 300 members from second estate, and 600 members of the third estate will come together, and they will talk about the situation, and they'll come out something good for the entire country, right? And peasants and artisans were not allowed to enter this meeting. So they wrote, the peasants and artisans, actually they really wanted to come and they had their own issues, but they were not allowed. So when they were not allowed, they wrote big paragraph, big things, and sent to the court, sent to the parliament, sent to the king, and wrote here in the estate general meeting. So now what happened? Now this time something new happened. What happened? 300 members first estate, 300 members second estate, 600 members. Now third estate members, as you all know, they were 300. They were representing the entire third estate. This 600 members of the third estate, they were representing the entire third estate, because they were not happy with the king. Because they were not happy with the king, because they were inspired by a lot of philosophers. So this time they started raising their voices, and this time they said that this time they starting raising their voice, and this time they raised their voice and said that we will not represent 300 members at all. Now what is the criteria here? 300 members altogether will have one vote. Okay, then 300 members together from the second estate will have one vote, and 600 members from the third estate will have one vote. So in majority, if we see, first estate and second estate have privileges, so they can make one vote 2. So if we see, 600 people from first estate and second estate have one vote, 600 people from third estate have one vote. So which is, again, they will cut off, and whatever the estate general will say will happen. But this time the third estate people were not happy. They said that we are raising our voices, and to this time what we want, this time we want that we do not want entire estate one vote. We want one person one vote. Here they said we want one person, and one person should represent one vote. So in totality they will have 600 votes. Okay, as third estate they will have 300 votes, they will have 300 votes. But this thing was not okay, approved by the lowest 16, because they said it, how can third estate members can raise their voices, how can they have a lot of sense and they can do a lot of things, because ultimately who is dominated here? Third estate people. And so this thing was very sad. Now this happened for the first time in history. So the third estate altogether left the estate general meeting. So because nobody was listening to them and they were already dominated, so they left the estate general meeting for the first time in history, and they gathered. Okay, they gathered in the tennis oath court, and what they wanted, they clearly laid down that now we do not want 600 votes, now we do not want any vote, we are leaving that 300 people we are talking about, the 600 people of the third estate. Now they gathered in the tennis court and took an oath. These 600 people from the third estate came. Now they took an oath that we do not want any type of king, we do not want any type of estate meeting. Now you please regard us as National Assembly. We want to make the constitution, and our agenda was to limit the powers of the monarch. We want to make, they now rebel. They started rebelling. And how they rebel? They came in front of the tennis court oath. They took an oath on the 20th June 1789, and they said that now we do not want anything. What we want total assembly. We want to establish ourselves as National Assembly, and we want to make a constitution. We do not want any monarchy, we want constitution, and monarch can be there. We are not saying remove monarch, we are just saying that we want to limit the powers of the monarch, because monarch is not valuing the third estate people. Okay, so now what happened? There were leaders of the National Assembly. So there were two leaders of the National Assembly. We have Ab Sais and Mirabiu. They were leading. Who were they? They were the 600 members. They were the leaders of the 600 members of the third estate. They were representing the third estate. So they were the leaders of the National Assembly. They took an oath on 28th June 1789. Now with this, what happened? A bad severe winter happened, whereby in France the winter led to a severe winter. Now hereby, when there is a severe winter, definitely when there is very cold, are we able to move, talk? No, we are just want to cozy up in the blanket and just want to sip a cup of hot chocolate or hot milk and hot tea or hot coffee, but we do not want to go outside and do the work. But this time in France, it was a severe winter, and severe winter means bad harvest. So the price of the bread also rose. The bakers exploited the situation and hoarded supplies. The bakers understood the situation and they hoarded supplies. They kept the supplies but did not show it to the people. Now what happened? A lot of women were there, a lot of women, crowds of angry women stormed into the shops, and everything was, situation was kind of worse. And when the situation was worse, the king was not able to do anything. So what happened on 14 July 1789? Remember the story which we did in the okay, so from here I will explain you. Okay, when crowds of angry women stormed into the shop, Louis XVI just told the army to control the situation. Okay, here crowds of angry women stormed into the shops and the situation was not good, because meanwhile Estate General meeting did not do anything. Estate General people were very rigid that we want to make National Assembly. So things were politically going bad. And if we see the geographical situation and we see the winter situation, it is all bad. And then we see the economic situation, it is all bad. So situation kind of is very worse. And now Louis XVI, looking at in the entire situation of France, he said to the people and he said to the army that he did not say the rumor that was spread. He just said to look to the situation of France, hired army, not hired army, told army, ordered army to handle the situation. But this was soon turned into a rumor, and people thought that king had ordered army to kill everyone. This was mere rumor, but actually it was not exactly same. Okay, he just ordered people, he just ordered the army to control the situation. Now when a lot of women, everyone were angry, on 14 July, the situation will be started in the starting of the chapter, in the beginning of the chapter, on the 14th July 1789, what happened? The king ordered troops to move to Paris. He never said to kill everyone. He just wanted to have a good situation over the entire France, entire Paris. So what happened now? As you all know, in this beginning we have done. So some 700 women and men came and they, looted the Bastille prison. Seven or more people were released. They did a blast there. Blast as in not fire blast, but actually looted. This situation happened. And after this situation, what happened? The king lost all the hope. So king saw the situation. The king saw the worst situation. The king was actually sad. He could not have any solution. The king did not have any solution. Okay, have any solution, because the people were actually in the hustle and bustle. They wanted to loot the palace of Bastille and everything. So things happened. In the beginning of the chapter, we have done a short summary type of things happened, right? So after that, what happened? After that, Louis XVI finally accorded recognition. Now he said that it's okay, I'm not being able to handle the situation. It's okay, I can see that I'm not being able to handle the situation. So what should I do? It's okay, I am accepting the National Assembly. Now what was the National Assembly? 600 people from the Estate General Meeting took the oath in front of the tennis court, and known as tennis court oath, that we will make a National Assembly, we want to make a constitution, we want to limit the powers of monarch. So hereby the monarch accepted this. Okay, Louis XVI accepted this. So Louis XVI finally accorded recognition to the National Assembly, accepted the principle that his powers would from now on be checked on by the Constitution. So whereby we can say that France from monarchy was changed to France from monarchy now was soon becoming a constitutional monarchy. France actually was a monarchy, because of National Assembly, it became a constitutional monarchy, because he saw the situation and he understood that things are not in my hand now. So on the night of 4th August 1789, when all these things happened, so if you see the Palace of Bastille and everything happened on 14 August, and then they took the oath. Now on 4th August 1789, when the king accepted everything, so he said that now France is not a monarch, comes under monarchy. France is from monarchy to change to constitutional monarchy. So on the 9th of 14 August, what happened? Feudal system obligation taxes were abolished. Now there were a lot of taxes were there, so all those taxes were abolished. Church properties, a lot of church people, clergy were holding a lot of properties. All these properties were confiscated. Clergy gave up all the privileges. Now clergy means again the first estate. National Assembly drafted the constitution, and the constitution was made in 1791. So constitution was made to 1791, and power was distributed among the legislative, executive and judiciary, which means the monarch was there and constitution was also there. So it was from constitution, from monarchy to constitutional monarchy. Now what happened? They also did the voting rights also. So there were 28 million people. So there were people who cannot vote, there were people who can vote. Who cannot vote were the people, especially women and children. So these were the people who were not allowed to vote. Children and women cannot vote, and less than 25 people were not allowed to were not allowed to vote, and people who do not pay taxes were not allowed to vote. Now who can vote? Voting can only be for the active citizen, only males, those who are 25 plus and who pay the taxes. Males 25 plus and those who pay the taxes. These were the three criteria, people who can vote. Now see this situation here. Now what happened? As you all know, passive citizens again who are not allowed to vote. These are women, children, men who do not pay taxes. Active citizen, A lot of people were there, like people, 4 million people out of 28 million people, these are male who can vote, but has to be 25 years of age or plus, and they have to pay the taxes. Now above them, okay, they used to vote for men, those who are non-electors. These are 500 men. These 500 men again vote for National Assembly, which constituted of 745 members. These were the law-making people. From the law-making people, from 745, law-making people actually control the ministers. Okay, the legislator also control the king, who is the executive. Apart from that, apart from these people, they also vote for a judge called judiciary. Very simple case. It looks difficult, but it is very simple. Okay, so entire power was in the hands of National Assembly. Right now, what happened? Now, what was the beautiful thing came when the constitution came in France? So, Declaration of Rights of Man and Citizen, they always included man, they do not include men. Okay, rights such as right to life, okay, freedom to speech, freedom of opinion, equality before law were established as natural and inalienable rights, which basically were against the rights of the churches and nobles, because these were rights because they said that every human being has capacity, or every human being should be treated equally. Okay, so they had all the rights and everything was going fine. Now what happened? Now everything was going fine. Now from monarchy it was constitutional monarchy, but the monarch Louis XVI could not see all these things. So Louis XVI did secretly he entered into secret negotiation with the King of Prussia. Now hereby, because some of the powers were limited, okay, now everything was in the control of National Assembly, which was made by the 600 members of the Third Estate meeting. Okay, so now Louis XVI felt that my powers are very less. What should I do? So he fell into the secret negotiations with the King of Prussia. Now what happened? The King of Prussia, this secret negotiation, National Assembly got to know. So National Assembly got to know all this thing, and National Assembly did what? National Assembly got to know, and on April 1792 to declare war against Prussia and Austria. And Austria was where Mary Antoinette, that is the queen, was from. Right. So again, because National Assembly was the head there, so National Assembly got to know what king was doing behind the back. Okay, so king was doing some secret negotiations, but National Assembly got to know, and they said that you are being charged for the treason, because again you are from France and you are not, you are not loyal to France. You are doing secret association with the King of Prussia. So in that case, National Assembly, they manipulated the situation and they ordered the war. They declared war against Prussia and Austria. So it was France. Okay, France against Austria and Prussia. France against Austria and Prussia. Now with this thing, what happened? Outcomes of the war. Again, what happened? The war happened. Things were very sad. Okay. And again, the war did not, happen very nice. And outcomes of the war, as you all know, expenditure happened. A lot of expenditure happened. And people were definitely not happy with the war expenditure. A lot of people were killed on both the sides. And the situation got worse. The situation got worse. Situation got worse. Now what happened when the situation got worse? There were emergence of clubs. Now people believe that, if you remember, peasants and artisans were not allowed in the meeting. Right. So a lot of political clubs go on, because when they were seeing the situation from monarchy, now constitution monarchy, National Assembly were also doing their thing, but National Assembly could have not ordered the war, because again the war happened. Because again the war happened here. This war happened, and this again led to, destruction of a lot of things. So there were emergence of clubs like peasants, farmers, a lot of people who were neglected, they came into the political clubs. Wealthy people were given importance, okay, and a lot of people actually, what are political clubs? They are clubs whereby they are discussing about the society. They are discussing about the society. They are discussing about the welfare of the common people, welfare of the people who are neglected, okay. They were also discussing about the people who are at the low level, okay, low level. And hereby there is one person, and Robespierre, Maximilian Robespierre, is the head of the entire clubs, okay. So these people included small shopkeepers. Now who are people in the political clubs? Small shopkeepers, artisans such as shoemakers, pastry cooks, watchmakers, printers, as well as servants and daily wage worker included people in the political clubs. Now what happened? The political clubs look different, okay. They wear knee breeches, okay. They are known as sans-culottes. They wear sans-culottes. Their dresses are different, okay. They are different from each other. They refrain from fashion, okay. They refrain from fashion, okay. And they look like a common, they look more like, okay, people who are from we can say dockyards, people who are from dockyards. They look different. They have caps, they have red. So these are known as different people. And the major club was the Jacobin club, okay. Jacobin club was ruled by the Maximilian Robespierre. Now he and the entire club were against the king and their atrocities, okay. So 10th August they stormed the palace of Tuileries and massacred king's guard and held king himself hostage for several hours. So these people were enraged a lot because they were doing planning on the same time. So when they saw that king, because of king everything is happening, so they went to the against the king and atrocities. On 10th August, they stormed the palace of Tuileries, massacred the king and hostage. The king and the entire family they kept for the hostage. Imprisoned the royal family. Entire family was imprisoned. And what they had on the newly elected assembly, okay. Yes. So what happened now? Robespierre, actually what the Robespierre did, Robespierre, we'll go by the sequence only. So Jacobin club head was the Robespierre, Maximilian Robespierre. He was against the king and atrocities. On 10th August, he stormed the palace of Tuileries, massacred king, guards, and then he kept the hostage. He imprisoned the entire royal family and regarded themselves as, now who? Newly elected assembly was Jacobin assembly. Jacobin, okay, Jacobin, who these political clubs. Okay, so these were in power, political clubs. They had the audacity to go towards king, okay, imprison the entire family, okay. So on 21 September 1792, it abolished the monarchy. So from monarchy to constitutional monarchy, now from constitutional monarchy, so from constitutional monarchy, the entire constitutional monarchy, the entire situation was changed to republic. And republic means the head of the state is an elected person. What does republic mean? The head of the state is an elected person. Head of the state is an elected person. So this elected person was the Robespierre Maximilian. Declared France a republic. Now voting will be happening here and there will be no monarchy. So this was, and after this Louis XVI was sentenced to death by the court in the charge of treason. Treason means that he was a king of France and then he did the secret negotiation with the king of Prussia. So that is the reason that he was against the government of, he was not loyal to his own country. So on 21st January 1793, he was executed publicly on the palace de Concorde. The Queen Marie Antoinette met with the same fate shortly after. So they also were guillotined. What is guillotine? So as I told you, guillotine is a device consisting of two poles and a blade in which the person is beheaded. Two poles and a blade by which the person head is beheaded, the head is chopped off. It was named after Dr. Guillotin, who invented it. Now the entire power was in the hand of Jacobin club and the head, because now they were newly elected assembly, and the head was definitely the Maximilian Robespierre. But Maximilian Robespierre ruled only for 1 year, and this year was known as Reign of Terror, because Maximilian Robespierre was very strict. He was a very strict person, and he used to use punishment. He used to use harsh punishment, and the punishment was directly guillotine. Guillotine was the very harsh punishment. So people were not happy with him. People did not found him really nice. He did just one great thing, that was abolition of slavery. Otherwise, he was a very bad person because he used harsh punishment. So let us see what good thing he did. Okay. So the good thing was abolition of slavery. Let us see what slavery means here. So this is a triangular slave trade whereby this is France, this is Africa, and this is Caribbean. Okay, so whereby there is a area, France used to have trade routes with Caribbean. Okay, with trade routes with Caribbean. Now, from trade routes to Caribbean to France, they need a lot of labor to do that. So, where will the labor come from? They said that labor will come from Africa. Okay, labor will come from Africa. Okay, and this labor included a lot of slave. Let us see. So from Caribbean to France, a lot of things were imported, and these were, we can say, first of all, we can say tobacco. Okay, tobacco. Then was indigo. The other one was coffee. And the last one was sugar. So everything was from Caribbean to France. But how will they, who are the people who will, you know, as you all know, French people are very elite. They are not like that doing work. So they wanted labor to do that work. And they saw that there is a mass labor going on in Africa. Africa is was not a well-off country. So they went to Africa and wanted labor. So this was a slave trade whereby what happens? France first of all took the labor from Africa, went to Caribbean, took all the work here, did all the work here, and stayed back to France. So this was called a triangular slave trade. So hereby from Caribbean, they wanted people to work. And these were the people from Africa. And these are not just people to work. They were actually slaves. They were in the chains. They were treated like animals. Humanitarian approach was taken, and people were not happy working in this situation. So this entire thing was abolished by the slave trade. This was abolished by the Robespierre. We say Maximilian Robespierre. Okay, now what happened? So now what happened after this? Robespierre was also sentenced to death, okay, convicted by the court in July 1794, arrested, and on the next day sent to the guillotine. So he was also guillotined. Now what happened? Let us see. Now there was a rise of wealthier middle class. So we will see in the starting, we had the 300 people, okay, if we see the starting, we had 300 people, 600 people from the third estate. They made National Assembly. After National Assembly, we saw that people were not happy with the National Assembly. Robespierre's, we can say, Robespierre's people came from political clubs. They held the entire power. Now Robespierre was again convicted by the court and sent to guillotine. Then there were third category. This third category was known as wealthier middle class. Now wealthier middle class hold the entire power in France. Okay, new constitution was introduced. Now there was another constitution was introduced, and now this 26 October 1795 there was this particular word called directory. So this was the new power whereby directory came. Now what is directory? Let us see. So new constitution say that it will have two legislative council and one directory. Now this directory was made up of 5 members. 5 members, okay, 2 legislative council and 1 directory. But these 2 legislative councils always had a clash with directory. Directory means executive who will legislative are the people who will make laws, okay, legislative are the people who will make laws, and executive are the people who will implement. Okay, because there were 2 legislative council and only 5 members in directory rule is executive rule, so these 2 legislative council were having a clash with the directory rule or having a clash with executive. So in that case, this was also cancelled and the rise of Napoleon Bonaparte came. And he was the person who started again the entire power. He was also, you will learn this in class 10, he also we can say lost in the battle of Waterloo. But this is how we are ending our chapter. So French Revolution happened in such a way that things were now great. Yes, women did not have a revolution because women were not treated equal as men. But now with the rise of Napoleon Bonaparte, this system, now wealthier middle classes were also, this power was finished and Napoleon Bonaparte as a king arose. This is where we understand our French Revolution and we complete our chapter in some minutes. Alright children, bye-bye. See you next time. If you have any doubt regarding this chapter or anything you want to understand, you can write in the comment section. Bye-bye children. See you next time.